Every time Luffy is on screen, you know you're going to have a good time watching his journey to ultimately become the Pirate King. But, what if Luffy and his crew fail to reach Laugh Tale, breaking Luffy's dream of becoming the Pirate King? What will be the effects on the world? Will another Yonko achieve it? And will Luffy even survive this ordeal? Let's find out. Now, Luffy is at the absolute peak of his pirate career, with potential to go even higher. But you know, the haters are always present to pull you down from your highs. And in this case, the haters are none other than the elders themselves, who've taken it upon themselves to finish off Luffy. But that's not quite their mission on Egghead, so we can assume that Luffy is going to go through Egghead and onto Elbaf. But you must have noticed this. If we're seriously considering snubbing Luffy's dream to become the Pirate King, the best time has always been at the end of a major arc, starting right from the time of Alabasta all the way to Wano. This is exactly the time when Luffy and his crew are at their weakest, after pushing themselves through their limits to defeat a new enemy. And if you ask at which moment would we choose to break the hearts of the Straw Hats and the millions of fans around the world, it would definitely be the end of Thriller Bark, as this was the time when Luffy and his crew were this close to getting slaughtered. Had it been any other warlord like Doflamingo or even Boa, the Straw Hats wouldn't have seen the light of day, which kind of makes poetic sense, given they couldn't stay in the sun for long after Moria stole their shadows. Now, after Luffy's dreams had been broken, the Straw Hats would split up and go their own ways, splitting through the Grand Line and riding upon the themes of One Piece. I don't believe any of the Straw Hats would end up getting killed, however, very few of them are making it to the New World. This would even result in an extremely confusing snowball event that would change the timeline of the world of One Piece, which, in our opinion, would result in 3 major story point changes, most of which haven't happened yet. The first of which is Luffy's alternate dream. Now, for those who've read the manga right around when Chapter 1060 dropped last year, every fan was surprised. Luffy, inspired by his time with Ace and Sabo back at Mount Kolubo, derived another ambition, which entails different reactions from all of his crew members. Exciting Chopper, confusing Robin, Zoro, Jinbei, and Nami, making Sanji, Brook, and frankly, laugh, and, as usual, making Usopp worried. With those reactions, every character was actually out of character for that one moment, which made guessing the exact dream a bit difficult. Many of the hardcore fans guessed that it might be related to making food and drinks free all around the world, or even as big as breaking the Red Line altogether. But you know, all of these were speculations, and given that Luffy isn't even achieving his first dream here, him achieving the second dream doesn't make any sense. Or does it? Well, let's say that after losing his crew and his dream shattering as a result of it, Luffy is going to do at least something and not wait around for something to come his way. So this alternate dream could be his get-go idea after restarting his journey solo through the Grand Line. Okay, I know you think I've got a degree in Yipology right now, as Luffy would never abandon his dream, as he was adamant about reassembling his crew after the Sabaody incident. So most of the theory doesn't make sense. However, it would make sense if it were clear that Luffy is not becoming the king of the pirates for any reason whatsoever. The world government's actions and drowning. But wait, this is not the worst outcome yet. In the most recent chapters, a bomb was dropped on us by Vegapunk, and the world is going to sink. I mean, it was a bomb for casual viewers. However, the signs of the sea levels rising were present right from Water 7 and Eni's lobby. Once the dream of Luffy would die, the chances of him awakening his fruit and carrying on the will of the sun god Nika, and potentially the previous holder of the fruit, Joy Boy, would die as well. This plot twist right here would change the trajectory of the story 180 degrees. The D-Clan members, who supposedly the sworn enemies of the gods that reside on Marie Jose, would lose their biggest hitter and their supposed oath, which was diluted down to such an extent that it doesn't even exist in common knowledge, would now die a second death. All but ensuring the victory of the world government and the continuation of the tyrannical rule that the 20 kingdoms have put the world through. But the question still remains, what does the world government want to do? See, it is in no one's interest to literally drown the whole world below the sea because, you know, the resources that even the celestial dragons enjoy at their behest would be lost as well. However, the attack on Lulusia, which resulted in the sea levels rising by 1 meter, points us to another explanation, and that is the MFs at the Red Line just don't care. This means that if Luffy's dream of becoming the Pirate King drowns, so does the rest of the world, because he is the only palpable threat that was able to rattle the world government enough that they had to send 5 mythological monsters to deal with it. But if you thought that the flurry of bad luck would stop here, you're forgetting that there's still a war currently raging in the world that started in the Void Century and was apparently dominated by an advanced ancient kingdom, the birthplace of Joy Boy, the alleged first user of the Nika fruit. If and when Luffy gives up on his dream to become a pirate king, the chances of anyone discovering what happened in the Void Century die as well. Because guess what? Absolute units like Kaido and Big Mom have been pirates for decades, and they haven't come close to Laugh Tale. However, Luffy is on his way to speed run the entire Grand Line in just 3 years, which gives you a scale of how well endowed Luffy actually is to getting through to Laugh Tale. And as things stand now, the person who's most well informed about the Void Century after Vegapunk is the godfather of Robin, the giant Saul. He was the one who led the mission to save the relics of Ohara. There is also a very plausible running theory that Saul could be the man marked by flames who lead them to the last poneglyph and finally to the location of Laugh Tale. However, there are 3 parallel theories that are equally plausible, with Dragon being the one marked by flames and the last poneglyph being on Vyra, an island that overtook the government with the revolutionaries' help. But the last theory is even more bizarre. The man marked by flames could actually be Blackbeard, and the last poneglyph could be at Hachinosu. All 3 are D-Clan members. All 3 of them will play an equally important part in the final part of Luffy's journey in the original storyline, and all 3 of them would be affected if Luffy lost his will to become the king of the pirates. So Luffy's pirate journey ending will not only halt his life, but it will have an adverse effect on the whole timeline. Baruch Works could be in control of Arabasta, Enel could have taken over Skype, Robin could have been executed by Spandam, Hody Jones could have killed Neptune and his sons, Dressrosa would still be enslaved, the Smile Trade would be flourishing, and finally, Wano would still be under Kaido. This sounds like a mouthful, but it's actually the worst timeline in the existence of the entire genre of YouTube what-ifs. But all of that, till now, from the perspective of the story, what about us fans? Well, the most brutal impact of Luffy not becoming the proper king would be on us. We would miss out on many mysteries like what happened at God's Valley, who is Rox D. Zebek, what is the meaning behind the middle name D, what actually is Laugh Tale, or some small mysteries like where the bride at the Tequila Wolf country led to in the East Blue. All these mysteries will remain mysteries, and knowing how fans are, the US might declare war on Japan like back in World War II to force them to show us the end of One Piece. Haha, that was a bit too much, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? However, Luffy's dream would also affect the other members of the worst generation. Firstly, the law would most likely die at the hands of Don Quixote Doflamingo sometime in the future. Captain Kidd and Killer would still be under arrest in Wano, with even more atrocities being levied on them day in and day out. Big would most probably fall victim to one of Big Mama's children after his assassination attempt, while X-Drake and Hawkins would still be serving Kaido back at Wano along with Apu. But the person who would suffer the most would be Bonnie, as she would die in vain in her attempt to revisit Egghead and become a tasty meal for the mechanized sea beasts. Now, we've talked about everyone's future except for the ones who matter the most, and those are the Straw Hat Pirates. Well, I won't have to pick my mind for days to concoct stories that would match the worst timeline in One Piece. Oda has already done that for us. Starting with Luffy, our boy would turn into a very old and unattractive old man who would think twice about going anywhere near the title of Pirate King, stating it to be just a dream and not a goal. Phew, that would be heartbreaking. Zoro would give up on his 3-sword style, owning to losing all his teeth and going as far as to bow in front of anyone for some petty cash. I don't think Zoro's pride could fall any deeper than that. Nami would turn into a hideous lady with an even hideous heart, resorting to scamming people out of their money. The wildest change would be seen in Sanji, as he would literally turn into a copy of his father, both in looks and actions, which in my opinion is pretty scary. Usopp would resort to his lying ways. However, he wouldn't even try making his stories seem believable like he does right now, which really deals immeasurable damage to him as a character. However, the most surprising change would be that of Chopper, with him being disgusted even by the name of Luffy and resorting to sacrificing humans, I believe. Robin would turn from a book-loving archaeologist to just throwing them away on a whim. Lastly, Frankie would just turn himself into a ship with the sole purpose of destroying every ship in the world. So, there you have it. Everything was in front of us the whole time. But let's be honest. Whether Luffy becomes the Pirate King or not is of less concern to fans who've been watching for decades, as they value the life experiences that they've lived with Luffy more than they would hate the idea of him not becoming the Pirate King. Ooh, that was deep. Anyway, subscribe and make that like button the Pirate King by clicking on it. See ya!